go, AKAPADers. The making of Spawn as a book. Let's get into it. Alright, so it's not like Spawn didn't make money. Spawn made some money. New Line Cinema. Spawn, if you line up movies, we have The Crow, Spawn, Blade. It's a good, like, 3 movie, and you put in Dark City in there too. But guys, welcome to it. Peter A. DeLuca here. Yes, Spice Boy, aka Pad69, and say it with me, known throughout Philadelphia, PA, and the multiverse as the eclectic one. Guys, I'm hopping around Europe right now, probably drunk out of my mind, probably walking the path that the Allies liberated, you know, and probably checking out a couple things in Rome. Gotta do that too. But no, guys, this is an inventory episode. This is something I wanted to bring to all of you, all my AKAPADers, for a very long time. And why is that? Because I feel like a lot of us, I'm included, 1997, the Spawn movie dropping. It was for a young creative mind, for a person that just wanted to go into the world and create and illustrate and draw amazing things for whoever would allow him. That would be me. Spawn was, everything was so impactful. The lore, the mythology that Todd McFarlane weaved around his own career and his own life. Sorry, currently being deconstructed on this very channel also. But with all of that said, we still like to take things as face value and try and re-experience what they were back in the day. That's why $1, this was $1. $1! It's $1 well spent. We get to re-explore that. So let's hit that drawing table. Go down memory lane a little bit and just get into. I wanted to highlight just some of the artwork around the movie, and that's usually very tough to dig up. But we got some good examples here, and we're going to also go through a little bit of the production of the movie. Yeah, I got some insight there also. Let's go. $1 fine, guys. Let's get some of this. AKAPADers here. Let's go. Now, look, I just want to be clear. Do not trust anyone. No one. If they don't have a Crypt action figure ready to go on their drawing desk. Making of the movie Spawn. Rachel Alberly. Got some nice bullet points on the back. We're previewing the movie. Now, I just have to say this before we get into this bad boy. If you, let's just say you were into the comic, you might have liked The Crow. You see somewhat of you might be seeing some info on Blade coming out. But there is like a little bit of an inside trend, mostly by New Line Cinema. Dark superhero fantasies. Spawn would be the middle child in that, and as you would expect from a middle child, it's disappointment. But if you were just to look at these thumbnails, and if you didn't know any better, just as a young dude, I mean, this would hype you up. Especially, look, the middle shot with the gun. So what we're doing in here is, I just thought I would point some things out. But I really wanted to highlight the artwork of the movie, the production artwork. I do my very best to track some of this. A lot of the times, some of the production artwork ends up in trading cards. This is before everything within the movie got documented to make a art of book. But again, if you didn't know any better, you would see the 90s blood beveled, right? Beveled 90s blood lettering here, and see this, and you would lose your mind. In 1997, here he is, the big guy. So just to get into it, because we've been highlighting this, we've been going into this recently on the channel. Here, Todd McFarlane talks about how determined he was to break into comics. And then he goes, I received over 700 rejection letters. previously stated, he's stated 300, 350, and now 700. This is what I would consider to be the biggest lie in comics because it gets repeated so much. But yeah, so we do some good work in just outlining Todd McFarlane's career. Here they really just said, like, you know, he was kind of like growing his career, but it wasn't until he drew Spider-Man. And then once they introduced Spawn into like his story, they repeat the idea. Spawn, highest selling comic book, the biggest comic book on the market today. They go into some of the toys. The toys later were used to lure John Leguizamo, who wasn't aware of Spawn. The one thing to look at during these books is just how they frame some of the arguments. The special effects guy, like Phil Tippett, and we have Spaz, who the dog in the movie is named after. Phil Dippett. Sorry, I'm saying Phil Dippett. It's actually Mark Dippy. So, a part of the framing for the guys that made this movie, they were the guys behind Terminator 2, The Morphing, The Abyss. These are the guys that made Jurassic Park. These guys were of a crew called Banned from the Ranch. You see this at the end. You see their production logo at the end of this movie. They were banned by Industrial Light and Magic and George Lucas for breaking into George Lucas's office, drinking his whiskey, making fun of him, and being caught on audio the entire time, and they got kicked out. With that said, here we go. We have, and this is interesting. They wanted the Violators, the clown's veins, to pulsate from his back and through his face. They kind of wanted like this pumping blood action, if I can say that. Very interesting. Like I said, this is why we buy these books, especially when they're $1. The infamous crotch scene here, as depicted. Some good morphing diagram. But yeah, so, and we get some production production artwork. We're trying to formulate maybe how we can improve. We see Spawn is way more armored here. This almost looks like a skinnier, leaner version of the medieval Spawn. Nice artwork here for the great gimmick of Clown, blowing up and exploding his own head at Wanda's birthday party. Now, I was thinking we kind of go a little bit deeper into some of what's in here. Maybe not. But Alan McElroy, he's our guy, right? He says in here, though, he's our writer. He says here that he mentions a script that he wrote. Might have been called like Bat Out of Hell. But he wrote the screenplay. Yeah, here it is. Bat Out of Hell. Where it's a guy that escapes from hell with a clown stalking him. Like, he wrote that screenplay before he even knew what Spawn was. But I kind of wanted to maybe present this and put this on the website. Under the Car. It's a short film he made for Showtime. So, again, like, just as a promo material, even back in the day, right? Well worth $10 to get some McFarlane artwork, even though I'm not. Yes, that is McFarlane. Sometimes you gotta look during this era because he did have other guys creeping in. This is amazing. This sells the movie. The beginning of the movie is the toughest. It really. The movie. Most movies have great first acts. Spawn does not. Spawn has a very tired first act. But yeah, we get some good insight. So all of this stuff is the part of the movie pitch, and we see this pitch even to this day. When someone doesn't know what Spawn is, they always get to the actor's like, oh, I had a nephew. My nephew loved it. My kids loved the character. We even hear this in Raul Julia for his M. Bison portrayal. But they're like, as soon as someone young heard about this and I was in their vicinity, I said yes to the movie. It's somewhat of a promotional trope. Again, if you didn't know any better and you saw Malebolgia here, you would lose your mind. Now, as far as I know, this is a practical Malebolgia. He's not even in the movie. This shot is not in the movie at all. Malebolgia becomes 3D. what they will call, even in this book, the 3D hell, blah, 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 blah. Jessica Priest replaces Chapel. Where's it at? Hold on, I wanted to set this up. It's not until costume. They have a design in here for Jessica Priest. Let me just get to it. That blew me away. Here it is. People, this is, if you're like, we're replacing Chapel with a girl, and you see like the Jade Lee Chapel drawings, and you give it to a Hollywood costume designer, they come up with this. And again, they brought the movie a little bit too close to Earth. But this is a wonderful revelation. I think this is a design. Use this design today. But yeah, we get a couple more details about the movies, behind the scenes, production design. I always enjoyed the production design artwork. You know, like I talked about this when I did Judge Dredd, the art of Judge Dredd. This stuff's just fantastic. Look at this city shot. How do you not fall in love with it? The chemical lab, chemical factory, even here. Like, look at that. I love the fiery glow here. But look at that. I mean, like, see? And this is where production design is. You're partially illustrating what you envision the lighting to be based on the budget of the movie. Again, like, light your horizon lines, blur it. Same as if your illustration. And it just creates depth. Just creates like an endless hallway. Costumes, yeah, I mean, we have some of the cool headgear. We don't quite see this in the movie in the beginning. They talk about, they really do talk about the approach for John Leguizamo's jacket. They put flames on the jacket. They go through a couple ideas for the clown where he was a little bit more fluorescent. He was brighter, had purple pants, and they kept going back to the comic. And everyone says how fantastic the cheerleader clown is just to work with and have him on set. Again, we see some, like, this is interesting. I just like the way how they bring the costume, like, up and over the thighs here. Just doing, like, natural wraps, as we would call it. And I love that, look, the inside of his chest is, like, split. You know, giant skull above the D. Some nice, again, illustration here for clown. Now, this would be, like, I don't know if this would be for makeup. I believe this is just to pre-visualize a little bit what we're dealing with when it comes to proportions. You know, burnt spawn. Again, too, like, this one's so much more creepy and disturbing than what they ended up with. And you kind of have to say, Michael Jai White perfectly cast as Spawn. Look at, I mean, again, if you saw this, you would lose your mind. You would lose your mind. Again, and then here's the Malebolgia maquette. We do not see this in the movie, so that is one solid takeaway. We see the giant 13-foot high animatronic Violator that maybe we get like one sequence. Maybe two. Maybe we get a little bit at the end. Get some storyboards. This is Al Simmons being thrown into hell here. Fast storyboards. Now, if you just saw the art of Winter Soldier, you would just say to yourself how far storyboards have come. But this is the stuff I like because I like the almost like the chunky marker to get in, like, you know, like to get the separation in. The fantastic. I love this scene too. With Spawn and Violator on that chemical truck. They never made a Spawn movie motorcycle. Even like for McFarlane when the toys were dropping, I always felt like they, you know, because he cocoons the motorcycle. It's so freaking cool. Some morphing action here. Again, pre-visualizing what the special effects guys have to do. So in here though, for the digital hell, they kind of reference that they sacrifice. It was 6 or 7 production days. They cut the live action shoot down by 7 days to create the budget for the digital hell. And if you see the movie, it just does not come over. It doesn't land. And here is, so I can't tell. This looks CG here. This is the climax in Wanda's. The climax of the movie is in Wanda's living room, by the way. And we have some expansion of Spawn's suits and his power. The movie does do a good job with doing enough things that you don't see in the comic. The comic later adapted it. We get the money shot here. Again, you would lose your mind if you saw this. And not, like, this is perfect hype for the movie here. I mean, like, look at that. The lighting for this. That's why these books are valuable. Like, you buy for $1. You cut this out. You glue it here. And you just copy this lighting for everything you do. Some soundtrack right here, Until the End of the World. Our boy here. Granit Revel. Solid movie. It says he worked on The Crow, The Saint. That's it. AKAPAD. Again, more or less highlighting the artwork for Spawn the movie. Thanks. Hey, thanks for hanging out. And we're back. So, this is my second time going through this. You know, like, originally, it was just me kind of going on the rant about how upset I am with the modern day Todd McFarlane. Guys, it's hard for me to let go of the past. Let me know, do you feel like Todd McFarlane has let us all down by not getting back into comic book illustration or storytelling? Overall, like, even his publishing track record just seems to be null. I hate the idea, I really do, that everything, all the energy he has now is just other Spawn things. You know, like, to me, Spawn it's a one-note character, great in its own title, but becoming like a Spawn verse is just, it just screams of relevancy. Like, I'm dying to be relevant. I really do believe that if the comic book industry wasn't so much in the toilet right now, even Spawn 300 just would have fell on deaf ears, but everything else is burning around Spawn, I guess, pun intended there. But let me know, am I crazy for thinking this? And I'm not taking away of what everything from his adjectiveless Spider-Man release, third highest selling comic of all time, but his work from Spider-Man going into the end of his reign on Spawn, because let's not forget, Greg Capullo picked it up, and the second best Spawn artist ever, Angela Medina, picked it up after Greg Capullo. I think Medina went from 100 to 150. McFarlane, in my view, is the third top Spawn artist. I know that's controversial, right? Because we're supposed to say McFarlane's great at everything, but no, we're constructive here. We're critical here. We use that little gray matter. But I don't know. Like, I just feel like sometimes when I write, like, I just feel like I'm betraying a bit of my younger self when I realize things as an adult. To maybe guys like McFarlane, you know, they lied a lot about their origin story. They lied a lot about how they came up in comics, and they tell these anecdotes with no evidence. And it just seems completely fake in my eyes right now. But I get the younger me, the younger AKAPAD, you know, like, going along with it, loving it, preaching it, repeating it. And you know, like, in that kind of, again, you tell a lie big enough, people will believe it. And I do feel like a lot of Todd McFarlane's origin story is that. But I don't know, people, let me know. What are your thoughts on the modern day Todd McFarlane? Hope you enjoyed the making of Spawn. I mean, I still love this movie. Such a rough 30 minutes to get this movie getting started is so rough. But I do feel like, you know, really Acts 2 and 3 are way better than 1. Which is tough, because Act 1 is usually your best act in a 3-act movie. But guys, Peter Aguiluca here, flex all day. We got the Spicy Boy. I really do love you guys. And just keep in mind, these are inventory episodes. But we do have some more McFarlane dropping. So stay tuned, subscribe, support, leave a comment.
Re